Welcome everyone back to the ASVAB Domination Podcast. In this episode, expect to learn valuable insights from Sam England, founder of Libra.io, as we explore how his background as an infantry commander and his passion for education are helping students and soldiers to crush the ASVAB. We'll dive deep into Sam's military journey and struggles with standardized testing, test-taking strategies to tackle the ASVAB effectively, the importance of quality practice questions and avoiding distractions while studying, and how Libra.io uses AI and innovative tools to generate high-quality ASVAB questions and flashcards. Whether you're preparing for the ASVAB or looking to sharpen your study habits, this episode is packed with tips and strategies that you won't want to miss. Now, let's jump right in. Welcome to the ASVAB Domination Podcast, where we help you crush the Armed Services Vocational Aptitude Battery, also known as the ASVAB, in order to achieve your dreams of serving in the United States Armed Forces. I'm your host, Mickey Gamonal, and I'm excited to share my years of experience and expertise in ASVAB preparation with you. In each episode, we'll dive deep into test material, strategies for success, and insights from military veterans and experts. Whether you're a high school student considering military service or a seasoned professional seeking to advance your career, this podcast is your ultimate guide to mastering the ASVAB and achieving your goals. Let's dominate the ASVAB together. Welcome everyone back to the show. Mickey Gamonal with Gamonal Tutors here, and I'm very excited to have the founder of Libra.io. I have Sam England. He was a commander for an infantry unit, and now he's helping students out there, students and soldiers, seems like anybody, to get the best possible ASVAB score. So Sam, welcome to the show.
Hey, thanks a lot, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a privilege, man. I got to talk to you a little bit before, and your story is super cool. Very, very interesting. I am a little envious. I think going active duty is like the way that you get to see everything there. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Cool. So Sam, go ahead, tell us real quick kind of how your military experience ideally starting with your ASVAB experience.
Sure, absolutely. So I took the ASVAB. I think I was a junior in high school, and I did not prepare for it at all at the time. And I think they still do it. It's all paper tests whenever you take it in high school. There's 5 different versions of the ASVAB. The paper test is primarily used for high school students. And I went through it like I did any other exam. I didn't study for it, just showed up on test day in a big auditorium. They handed me the document, and I just started from there. After I took the ASVAB test, I want to say overall I got around a 70, but the end goal was always to join ROTC. I believe that at the time I already had a commitment to a school for ROTC. So this was more or less backup for me. If I was able to, if that didn't work out, I could still join the Army. From there, I went into ROTC for 4 years in the University of Oklahoma. And after ROTC, I commissioned into the infantry as an Army officer. And I spent the next 7 years as an infantry officer, deployed to Iraq. And throughout the entire time, continuously struggled with standardized tests. So once I got out of the military, had to take another standardized test, the GMAT, and again, just struggled with it. And I've always felt this massive roadblock between me and my goal, and that was standardized tests. And I never really fully understood or appreciated how to study for exams in order to achieve your goal. Once I finished the GMAT, I did other exams. I did the project management exam. I did the CompTIA exam. So my life was just filled up with exams. So that was when I really took a moment to pause and try to figure out, okay, how do you actually study for exams? And since then, I just fell in love with the process of learning and growing. And just that became more important to me than actually getting the grade that I thought I needed in order to achieve my goal. And since then, I've been working at a large tech company and have been trying to help others who've been struggling day in and day out through standardized tests to achieve their goal.
Awesome. Yeah, and I did a quick look at Libra.io, just basically your homepage, and it looks pretty solid. It's a good place to start. I've been tutoring ASVAB for about 15 years now, and there is a ton of stuff out there, but a lot of it has like ads. You can be inundated with like, I don't even know if it's computer viruses, but like just pop-ups everywhere
Yeah.
to buy all the
Yeah.
stuff. But Libra.io is super clean, and I think it's because it's starting out, but it seems like it's got a lot of content already.
Absolutely. And that's exactly what I sought out to do when I started Libra. I I I do not like ads at all. And if you try to do a quick search for any free ASVAB exams, that's what you're going to be bombarded with. And it's so counterintuitive because when you're studying, you need a pristine environment where there's no distractions and you just have all these ads everywhere. So that's one thing that I stand by is no ads. That's rule number one. Rule number two is the quality of questions. It's very difficult to get quality ASVAB questions, and partly because the ASVAB is unique in that they don't share past ASVAB tests. If you try to take an ACT or an SAT, you're going to be able to find retired exams and really get questions that were created by those organizations. But the ASVAB being built by the government and the military, they don't release any of that. So what we did with Libra.io is we took all of the documentation that is used in order to generate test questions, and using the latest AI and large language models, we were able to generate high quality questions in these practice tests. And practice tests are really what are going to show you right off the bat the subtests that you need to focus on. So it's very important to, if you're going to use practice tests, to find the tests that are going to give you the best bang for your buck. And that's what we sought out to do with Libra.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. I've had students who have taken the same practice test 30 times and
Yeah.
they memorize the answers. And it's easy to fall into that trap because you struggle with math. And even with the ads, what you're talking about there is you don't want to do the math, right? It's like getting a
Yeah.
haircut and you hate haircuts.
Yeah.
Those distractions are like perfect to totally throw you off. Like
Yeah.
if you're looking for a reason not to study, you will find it if you're not in a well-suited environment. Like it's so easy to be distracted, especially in today's age. So I think it's great that you're limiting the ads, and the quality questions is super important. I've seen some tests out there from some big name books that just the questions are too easy, and it gives like a
Yeah.
really bad false sense of security. And then they score really well on PyCat, and then it's time to confirm those scores, and everything falls apart because they prepped with something that was too easy. So it sounds like you have a depth of knowledge or a depth of question that can test multiple things, which I tell my students this all the time. Like you'll see a question that asks about perimeter or something like that, but it could be averages of perimeters. And so you need
Yeah.
the two pieces to figure out how to solve it.
Absolutely. And that's one thing that I learned too when I was taking all the standardized tests throughout my time is that if you use the exams from only one source, you're only ever going to get exposed to how they create the tests. And when you're doing the ASVAB at METS, it's going to be a CAT ASVAB. So the questions are going to gradually get more difficult as you get them more right. And even though Libra is not CAT right now, we have a good mixture between easy, medium to hard questions to try and really do a good mix between all of the different types of questions that you might see on the ASVAB.
I love that. Yeah. Can you tell us a little bit about when the ASVAB is administered? And I may have covered this in a past podcast, but I am interested in your perspective. I understand that it's a responsive test. Can you go over what that looks like or what that means?
Yeah, absolutely. So I mentioned earlier, if you're taking the paper test, it's not going to be responsive. You might get a hard question 3 in a row, and then you might get an easy one. So depending on your strengths, that might be a benefit for you. You can skip the hard ones and try and knock out all the easy to medium ones and then come back. But when you're doing the CAT online, you're not going to get that benefit. You'll be able to see one question at a time, and you have to make that decision. Am I going to answer this? Am I going to guess it? And then move on to the next one, which could hurt you if you're not used to that. So if you're going to take the paper test, it's recommended that you primarily use paper. However, I still find a lot of value in any sort of test that will gradually show you more difficult ones with easy ones mixed in between, so that you never really know until you actually see it. That's one of the skills that is really difficult to get if you don't practice, by able to quickly determine, okay, is this a hard question or is this an easy question? Because sometimes you'll take a question thinking that was easy, but it was really a hard one because there were a lot of tricks that you missed. And that's a skill that's only going to get better by practice and practicing your exams. And if you take the PCAT you mentioned and you score really well, you're going to have to do another shorter version of the ASVAB whenever you get to MEPS. And that one is going to validate if you did it right or wrong. And if the scores don't match, you're going to have to retake the entire ASVAB. So it's really important not just to focus on, memorizing types of questions, but understanding what are they actually testing in every single question.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I've seen it happen where a student goes in with a good PCAT score, and then they flunk the validation, and then their confidence just crashes, right? And now they're taking a 3-hour test suddenly.
That they weren't planning on. So if you really take a look at the ASVAB, and instead of seeing it as a big blocker to getting your goal, instead seeing it as an awesome opportunity to learn how to learn, you're going to leave that experience way better off. You're going to leave with a lot of knowledge that you can then take forth in your entire life and apply those skills of how to actually study and how to learn something new in any job that you end up with.
Yeah, I love that because I'm a math teacher by heart, right? Like I've got the tattoo, so
that's it right there.
I'm all about like Pythagorean theorem and applications of averages into real life. Like the difference between people who day trade and realize that index funds kind of beat out is it's the math. It's always the math.
It's always the math.
Yeah, I'm a true believer, but most of the students I meet struggle, right? Like they want nothing to do with it. It's like nails on chalkboard. So I mean, on the one hand, an app is great because they can see lots of different questions. What would you recommend for someone who is struggling with that math?
Yeah, a lot of people struggle with math, and a lot of people think that they're just bad at math. You're not just bad at math. The problem is that math questions, you have to get 10 things right in order to get the question right. Whereas vocab, you might just need to get one thing right, and you can say, I'm good at vocab. But when it comes to the ASVAB, you really want to make sure that you're nailing the 4 main subtests in order to actually qualify for the military. And those are the 2 verbal sections and the 2 math sections. So the primary thing that you want to do first is see where you stand with those 4 sections. Because if you don't do well in those 4 sections first, all the rest of the ASVAB, it's just not going to be beneficial for you. So nail those first 4 subtests first, and then you can focus on the other subtests. If you want to be a mechanic or an electronics engineer, then you can focus on those sections as well.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's the thing, right? If you're killing it on shop, but you can't pass the math, your AFQT is going to crash. And so as long as you can't get over that 31 threshold, you won't be able to join the Army. I think it's 39 for Air Force and all of the various branches. They're checking those 4 subtests, 2 math, 2 English.
Yep, that's right. And when you're studying the English, I find that flashcards are the most beneficial. So flashcards and reading high quality literature and high quality articles will really improve your vocab right off the bat. But you need to continuously do flashcards as well. However, I wouldn't recommend just doing any flashcards. You want to do some kind of spaced repetition flashcards. And spaced repetition, this is something that I didn't know when I was first going on this journey, but it's this ability to have a question and then answer it, see if you got it right or wrong, take a break, and then come back to it, and then continuously do this repetition. And it's really just, it's like working out the rest of your body. When you're lifting weights, you have to do it every single day so that your body starts to get acclimated to it. It's the same thing with studying. You need to study every single day. You need to see the same types of questions. And when you get them wrong, you need to take a little break, pause, and then come back to it. That's how you're going to learn.
Nice. I love that. And what is that called again? What is spacing?
Spaced repetition. And there's two main types of spaced repetition. You can do a gradual repetition, so a gradual space, where it's first you see a new flashcard and the system automatically will wait 15 minutes before you can see the flashcard again. If you get it right again, then it will increase to 30 minutes, to 60 minutes, to 2 days, whatever. So there's that method, which I personally like. And then the other method is equal spaced. So you take a flashcard, it's 15 minutes, you see it again, it's always going to be 15 minutes. Both ways work. I prefer the spaced repetition only because then the system will automatically start pushing aside the ones that you're getting right all the time, and you can really focus in on the ones that you're getting wrong.
Mm-hmm. And it's those blind spots, guys. It really is. To everybody out there, it's going to be the part that you don't understand that sinks you. It's the part when you don't know how to do percentages to decimals, like, but you're great with fractions. It's
Yep.
not like it can't carry you. You have to
Yep.
have the rudimentary fundamentals for sure.
Yeah, mental math is a really big deal. And the good thing about the ASVAB is you're not going to see calculus or trigonometry on the ASVAB. You're going to see basic algebra and eighth grade math, right? So it gives you the time to just focus on getting good at the mental math. Like you said, converting decimals into integers and vice versa. And then knowing some of the basics, like what pi is and some of the shortcuts just right off the bat. You want to get those. Those are low hanging fruit. And then you can start working on the more advanced word problem type problems.
Nice. I love it. I love it. Yeah, the familiarity, I think, is what it really is. I used to say when I was starting out, you don't want to see a question and freeze. You want to at least have the basics of how to get through it.
Yeah, yeah. You want to be able to hit a math problem and successfully solve it cold, right? So just like working out, you need to warm up. But with the ASFAB, you might not get that chance to warm up. So you need to be so comfortable and have processes down on how you're going to attack this type of problem already in the books, right? And that comes with practice. So when you're taking practice tests, you need to be able to quickly identify what type of problem this is and immediately default to, okay, this is how I attack those problems, and have a set process that you always follow whenever you're trying to solve those problems.
Awesome. I love it. Yeah. I subscribed to the Kaplan method previously.
Yeah.
And so it's like a four-step method of identify the information and then verify at the end, solve strategically, and identify the question. Because you have all the information, what's pertinent to the question, solve it strategically, and then verify. And that's what I tell my student, that last step, that verification, where you're talking about solving the math cold. If you know that X is 6 and you select that as C, you go into the question with a completely different mindset than
Yeah.
maybe B, right? If you're
Yep.
kind of guessing.
Yeah, absolutely. And whenever the nice thing about the ASVAB is that there's only 4 questions, right? So you right off the bat, you've got a 25% chance of getting the right answer. So
Or
if you
answers.
yeah, 4 answers, sorry.
Right. No,
If you
you're
can
good.
eliminate some of those questions right off the bat, now you've got a 33% chance. Now you've got a 50% chance. And those chances really increase the odds that you're going to do well in that subtest overall.
Awesome. So, question, just an honest question is, do you think that practice tests can help you to get better at process of elimination? Like if you're taking those?
Yeah, I think they do. The practice tests, if you're taking high quality practice tests and you're taking it in test conditions. So you're in a quiet room, quiet space, you've got on your headphones, and you're really just you're timing yourself and you're treating it like the ASFAB. That is going to naturally build the stress that you need to get better at dealing with whenever you take the ASFAB. So whenever you have those difficult questions that you're looking at and you're sweating a little bit, you can default back onto that process that you already have ingrained, and it becomes a reflex for you. And really, that's a big skill that you're going to learn in the military, right? You're going to be in high stress environments. And when you're really stressed out, you're not going to be able to think. So that's why falling back on those processes that are now reflexes for you are really, really important.
Yeah, I love that. I love the comparison. I used to teach and I would always call people by their last name. And
Yeah.
I had like squad leaders for the month and stuff like
Yeah.
that to
Yeah.
try and be like, look, we are going to be soldiers here. Like,
Yeah.
that's why we're showing up to this class. And you're right. You're exactly right. Not knowing what to do all the time is not a bug, it's a feature, right? Like, that's what
Mhm.
you want, is that zone of proximal development. You want that space where you don't know exactly what you're doing
Yeah.
so that you can grow. If
Yep.
you know what you're doing all the time, you're definitely not growing. So I love
Yeah.
that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Cool. Great statement. Great statement. So I did want to ask, because I did talk to you about Ranger School a little
Yeah.
bit. So, and that's, I think, I just think it's cool. We've had a couple people in guard units that have gone to Ranger School, and it just sounds incredible. Can you tell me a little bit about your experience?
Yeah, so like I said, I joined as an infantry officer, and when you join as an infantry officer, it's pretty well assumed that you are going to go through Ranger School. That's like your basic training, tougher basic training, but still basics. And it's a very high bar that you need to get through. And when I went through it, I thought, hey, I'm not good at standardized tests, but I'm good at this. I was wrong. There was so much that I needed to learn whenever I was going through Ranger School. And I didn't go through the first time. I totally failed. And I keep on saying I'm a lifelong failure and a lifelong learner, right? Because failure is a part of the process. If you're failing the ASVAB and you feel like I'm never going to join the military, that's okay. Okay. Failure is a part of the journey. And you have to, just like when you see those difficult tests that you don't have the process to solve them. You need the process to deal with failure. So I went through Ranger School, did not pass the first time. I was dropped and I was sent to my unit. And I felt like just my entire world has fallen down and shattered. But I took some time off and I really started to think about what I could have done better and how I could do better in the future. And I retrained again. I got back into physical fitness, and I went through and I went straight through. And it was such a good experience the second time because I had that failure already in the bag. So I already knew, if I fail, it's going to be okay. I'm going to be able to get through it. And if you fail the ASVAB, it's going to be okay. You're going to get through it. And as long as you really spent the time learning the skills on how to grow and really learn how to learn, you are going to be so much better and so much stronger for that experience.
Yeah, it's the story. It's the story 100%. The soldiers that I've helped get into the military or helped to become warrant officers after failing multiple times, they're better in their positions. They
Yeah.
are like way better. You could put them next to any number of people in that same position, and they actually work to get there.
Yeah.
So you automatically see they're willing to do the work while they're there because they
Yeah.
already feel lucky to be in that position.
Yeah. Absolutely. And it was a great experience. And I'm thankful for that failure. I really am. It has made me so much more humble and so much more relaxed, really, once you fail. As long as, and this is one thing that I learned, is I will take practice tests and I'll fail them. And I don't know what to do with this. I'll try to review the practice test, but it doesn't make any sense. Like, I don't know why I failed this. But it's so important that you take the practice test after you've completed it and you go back to all of the questions that you got wrong and you really start to understand why you got that question wrong, because it's a habit that you have ingrained in you that got you that wrong answer. So it's really, 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 really important to retrain yourself using flashcards or other quizzes so that you can get that problem right the next time.
Mhm. And that is the easiest way to grow. If you are scoring single digits on the ASVAB, and you turn around and look at why, the first question that you start realizing, oh, I can actually handle this, the first little bit of growth is so much more than that 20th little bit of growth. Like the
Absolutely.
20th question you understand is not anywhere near as important as getting that first question that you didn't want to look at, that you didn't feel like you could ever understand. Getting past that first hurdle is gigantic because it takes you from not knowing all of it and just feeling like you don't know all of it to I can get this one. And
Yeah.
once you have the one, you
Yeah.
can replicate that all day long.
That's absolutely right. And that goes for for all of the subtests. If you really build a model on how you're going to attack these subtests, that's a repeatable process that you can take on all of the different subtests.
Hell yeah. That's great. Yeah, and that's true. I used to talk about paragraph comprehension to general science, and there are relevant comparisons where it's like context clues. Same exact, very, very similar throughout.
Yeah.
So awesome. So can you tell us a little more about Libra.io? So it has, is it, I believe it's 9 ASVAB subtests. I like I say, I usually focus on the math and English. So is it that all 9 of the tests are on there?
Yeah, so we offer a free mini test that has 9 subtests. It doesn't have the assembling objects, but it's still really good way just to get a quick glimpse into maybe some of the subtests that you need to work on. Of course, like I said, you want to focus on those first 4 no matter what, but it also gives you a little bit of insight like, hey, maybe I need to work on the mechanics section, or maybe I need to work on the electronics section a little bit. And then we also offer 5 subtests or 5 exams as well, and those are all 10. So we have a separate section for the shop, separate for the mechanical, and that really allows you to dig in. It's the same amount of questions for every single subtest, and we also indicate how long you should be able to time yourself for each subtest.
Wow, that's cool. That's super valuable. That's one thing that I always bring back to my students is if you feel like you're rushing through a arithmetic reasoning test, you don't really need to. That timeline is pretty generous if you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, it can feel like forever.
That's the
So,
nice thing about the ASVAB is you have plenty of time to finish the ASVAB. There are some exams like the GMAT where you have 2 minutes per question and that's it. And you need to be able to get through that question fast and move on. So the ASVAB is a little bit nicer where it gives you plenty of time to do them. But again, like you said, you still need to make sure that you can get through those areas. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, 100%. Like the content of the question isn't going to take you more than 3 minutes if you know
Mhm.
what to do, if you've seen it. So I love that. I love that you've included some timeline on there. Super valuable. What else should we know about Libra.io? Is there anything that we
Yeah.
haven't gone over?
So we also have a flashcard application, and it uses spaced repetition where you can customize it. And right now we have 2 decks available, the word knowledge sections. We have 2 decks for that, but I'm always looking for input on how we can improve it. We'll also include math decks for that. And really that is just your place where you can create flashcards. You can see exactly which ones I need to work on, and you'll be able to even upload flashcards. So you can just in Excel or Google Sheets, you can create all of your flashcards and you can just upload them pretty easily. And that comes with it as well. And we're going to be having some study guides in the future and also quizzes. So quizzes are good because say, you don't have the 2 hours to spend on a full length exam, but you really need to hone in on the math section. We'll have quizzes so that you can go in and just bang out quiz after quiz. Whenever it comes to the study plan, it's really dependent on the individual, but you need to take a practice test day one. As uncomfortable as it is, I hate taking practice tests, especially the first one, but you just need to get it for a baseline so that you know exactly what areas to focus in on. Personally, if you have 4 weeks until the ASVAB, you want to be taking a practice test at least every single week with quizzes mixed in between and then reviewing those practice tests. If you have a little bit longer, say a couple of months, then you can get away with taking a practice test every other week. But it's really, really key that you go back and you review those practice tests and you create the flashcards for the problems that you got wrong.
Mhm. Yeah, there's no free lunch. If you're
There's no
doing
free
it one
lunch.
week, yeah, if you're doing it once
Yeah,
a week, that's great. But
yeah.
or once every 2 weeks, that's fine too. But the amount of hours you put in are going to improve your score. So,
It is, and it's muscle memory, and you're gonna hear that a ton in the military. Is you have to get it down to be muscle memory. When you're taking apart or an M14, excuse me, you have to be able to do it without even thinking, and that's where we want you to get to whenever you're taking the ASVAB, but not just the ASVAB, any exam that you take in the rest of your life. We want you to walk away here learning the skills to be successful in any standardized test so that you never have that daunting feeling where, oh, if only I could get past this test, then I can get my dream job. So those are the types of skills that we try to focus on at Libra.
hell yeah, I love it. Helping students to get past these obstacles. It's what I'm all about. It's great.
That's it. Yeah,
Awesome. Well, Sam, thank you so much. Is there
absolutely.
anything else you wanted to cover today?
So Libra, it's spelled a little bit odd. It's LLIBRA.io. And if you want to take the mini test, it's /ASVAB. So you can go right on there, take the free mini test. We'll send you the scores via email. You don't have to sign up for anything. And we're always looking for input. So, you can email me at any time. And that's just at team@libra.io. If you have any special needs, if you want any other features, just feel free to drop us a line.
Awesome. Well, Sam, thank you so much. Libra IO with 2 L's, everybody. So go check that out.
Cool. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, it's a pleasure. Remember to be kind to yourself and treat yourself as a learner. Are you considering a career in the military but feeling overwhelmed by the ASVAB exam? Look no further than GamonalTutors.com for the best ASVAB prep courses. Our courses are designed by experienced instructors to help you master the best sections of the ASVAB exam, including mathematics, English, and general science. We use proven teaching methods and provide extensive practice materials to ensure that you are fully prepared on test day. With GamonalTutors.com, you'll have access to comprehensive study guides, personalized tutoring sessions, and online practice exams. Our courses are available on demand, so you can learn at your own pace and on your own schedule. Don't let the ASVAB exam hold you back from achieving your career goals. Sign up for GamonalTutors.com ASVAB prep courses today and take the first step towards a successful military career.